Yo, Broncos country, let's ride, baby.
Well, as a Broncos fan, I'm officially ready for my pounding. Why try and fight it, you know? Why cause any resistance, which will ultimately cause me more pain? Just go ahead and give me everything you got, Denver! Give it to me! I'm ready to receive your pain!
Crazy.
As a Broncos fan, I've accepted defeat for all of 2024, and the draft hasn't even happened yet. Do you know what it feels like to have all hope removed from you on draft week before the draft even starts? Do ya? Do ya? We, here in Denver, got rid of Russell Wilson only to trade for Zach Wilson? I just traded hemorrhoids, a constant pain in my ass, for a spot on death row. At least I knew the hemorrhoids wouldn't kill me. Zach Wilson might. And our new orange uniforms are perfect for this damp, cold, hopeless hellscape of quarterback prison. Now I feel like I'm also in a horror film. It's like I was the last innocent person killed. I made it through 90% of the torturous movie only to die anyway, and now I've been revived by some sort of black Necronomicon magic for the sequel, and I get to do it all over again. And yes, I'm going to die before the film concludes again as well. Do you know how insane it is that Sean Payton is going to try and save another Wilson that was most recently violated by Nathaniel Hackett? Why are the Broncos trying to save all of Hackett's hack jobs? If you thought I was done screaming about Wilson, well, you're so wrong.
Wilson, what are you doing?
Wilson, where are you? Wilson!
Hey, Mr. Wilson!
Wilson! I can't!
It is certainly not good sports. Ever again. And yes, as Broncos fans, we are still dying inside. Maybe more now than ever. Those shirts linked below, you know? I don't even care if you buy it. It's not gonna make me feel any better, but it's just a shirt. It's a shirt. This move to me brings me no joy, no hope, nothing. And I know this video is gonna do well, and a lot of times that gives me a little bit of reprieve. And I know the only reason you're all here is to watch me suffer, but I don't give a fuck. I don't care if this is my best viewed video ever. Nothing can happen that will make me feel better today. If we draft a quarterback, then okay, I'll dial it back. The light's turning off. That is God saying you are forsaken. But it is official. Trevor Lawrence is the only first-round quarterback taken in 2021 that remains with the team that drafted him. The Broncos completed the process. Now, when I broke down the 2021 draft earlier this offseason, sure enough, the Jets pulled the trigger on him second overall, which is exactly what they did to his career. Shot him in that pretty little blonde young fuckboy face. I came to the conclusion that Zach Wilson was seriously overdrafted because of COVID. Similarly, I tried to tell my bank that my checking account was overdrafted because of COVID, but they still destroyed my credit score anyway. Now, Zach Wilson wasn't a first-round pick, or really even on the NFL's radar as a top prospect until he got to play a watered-down schedule at BYU because most of their series opponents had canceled a lot of their games in 2020. Wilson got to pad his stats against teams like Troy, Louisiana Tech, Texas State, and North Alabama, throwing 33 touchdowns and 3 picks. He had that great pro day, of course, and vaulted himself in front of Trey Lance, Justin Fields, and McCorkle Jones because Wilson got to beat up on inferior talent for a year. And I'm sure he made improvements and progressed as a quarterback that year, but what I'm trying to say is that you can draw a straight line directly from his trade all the way back to a lab in Wuhan. Now, I mention that because I think there are people who still have hope Zach Wilson can play quarterback in the NFL at a high level simply because of the stupid spot he was drafted. Thinking he can be a good quarterback based on that alone is a straw man fallacy, if I understand what that means, and I don't, by the way, because I'm fucking dumb. Everything I say is wrong, I am stupid, and you're dumb for listening to me. Now, 2023 was Zach Wilson's best season, which resulted in a 4-7 record, 8 TDs to 7 picks, the best of his career. That was with one of the best defenses in the league, albeit one of the worst offensive coordinators, but there's no reason to assume Wilson can be saved. I hope he gets saved. I hope Sean Payton has some sort of magic wand to wave right over Zach Wilson's male penis to get it to care about football the way it cares for women approaching menopause. But based on the numbers through 3 seasons, Wilson is hands down the worst quarterback from that 2021 draft. Thinking that's going to help your team while also swapping a bad draft pick in the 6th round for a worse one in the 7th round is like thinking drowning is a better way to die than burning alive. My point is, I watch a lot of football, all the football, and I couldn't give you one single Zach Wilson strength. I am more confused than ever, and now I'm also scared. I'm a scared little boy. Wait, that's not true. I have one thing. Zach Wilson has been able to beat the Broncos. He's 2-1 all time against Denver. Denver defeated him 26-0 his rookie season, but since then, just call him Zach Mahomes when he plays the Broncos. Oh, wait, maybe we traded for Zach Wilson to get him to tell us the secret to beat us. Because he's got to have a secret to beat us, right?
Is he going to spike it in time? I don't think he did.
Or are we that cursed? There's really nothing remarkable though, okay? He's never thrown for more than 2 touchdowns in a single game. He's never rushed for more than 1 touchdown in a single game. And he's never gone a single game without being sacked. I know that has a lot to do with the Jets, okay? Christ, I know. But there really hasn't been that one game you can hang your hat on and say, this guy's got something. We just need to get it out of him. We need to coach him better to see it consistently. My one big positive has nothing to do with that Zach Wilson. It's that the Broncos didn't sign a guy like Ryan Tannehill or Brian Hoyer or Jimmy Garoppolo or Andy Dalton. I am happier with the Zach Wilson than I would have been with those fine gents. We've seen their respective peaks, and they all happened about 4 years ago. And like the peaks on the Broncos' new uniforms, I'm simply not interested. Now, if the Broncos had signed any one of those guys, then you could have actually had a logical, albeit not good, reason for passing on a QB this year. They're probably also good enough to get you back into a position next season where you're also out of reach for the best quarterback in the draft. And they all would have cost a lot more money than the $2.75 million the Broncos will pay Zach Wilson this season. The Jets, of course, are paying $5.5 million of Zach's salary, just like the Broncos are paying $37.79 million of Russell Wilson's salary. Meaning, 2 NFL teams are paying 2 guys named Wilson a combined $43.29 million to live and play in another city. Denver will have to make a decision on Wilson's 5th-year option on May 2nd, and I'm just going to go out on a limb and say that they will not be paying him $22.4 million in 2025. If the Broncos do not draft a quarterback because they traded for Zach Wilson, it will be the dumbest thing that has ever happened in the NFL ever, for any reason, ever. But if Sean Payton wins a playoff game with Zach Wilson, it will be the greatest achievement in NFL history. There's a chance that Payton did this just to spite his archenemy, Nathaniel Hackett. If Payton turns Zach Wilson into even a respectable non-punchline in the NFL after doing the same with Russell Wilson last year, it just makes Hackett look worse and worse. But I'm not even convinced that Hackett gives a shit or even knows that Zach Wilson got traded today. While Aaron Rodgers goes on another darkness retreat, Hackett is probably in an underground bunker where the only light emanating is from a tube TV playing old Austin Powers DVDs. A surprisingly erotic experience for Hackett. Maybe Zach Wilson is the plan to tank. Sean Payton has to believe he can lose even more games with Zach Wilson than Jarrett Stidham, right? This is how I talk myself into hope. I don't even know how to laugh anymore. It is hard to tank though when you don't know who you're even tanking for, right? Because we have no idea who's going to be the first overall pick a year from now. There's certainly no Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence, or Caleb Williams in the waiting that can make you feel okay about not competing for a year. That's a huge risk. Here's the question that this brings though. What is the plan? What is it? Also, how bad are the Broncos at negotiating that they had to swap picks for Zach Wilson? The Jets should have given Denver a draft pick to take him off their hands. I've never been so baffled by a signing in my life. Or trade. Right now, the Broncos have Jarrett Stidham and Ben DiNucci on the roster, and I'm extremely confident Stidham is better than Zach Wilson at QB. And even though it was only XFL play, I would take my chances with Ben DiNucci over Zach Wilson. For the simple fact that if you're down to the nooch, you're probably in a pretty precarious situation anyway, and what do you have to lose? The bottom line is that this should not change Denver's plans on draft day. Not one iota. Having or not having Zach Wilson on your roster should not affect the way you make any single decision this weekend in regards to shaping the QB room. And again, if they draft a quarterback, fine. I won't think about this for a second. And I'm sorry to my dear friend Vic Lombardi. But if you think this means Denver will not take a quarterback at 12 because of this move, then you might be even more pessimistic about this organization than I am. To parse this thought with a little more detail, maybe the Broncos just don't like the idea of taking a quarterback at 12, right? Maybe they think none of the QBs they're interested in are a good fit at pick 12, whether it's a result of being out of range to trade up for Drake May or McCarthy, or thinking 12 is too rich for a pick like Nix or Penix, and both of those thoughts are probably true. Really, the only way I can rationalize this trade affecting their draft plans is seeing it as an insurance policy against not being able to trade up for May or McCarthy, which we know is a possibility given the news we got about the Patriots fielding calls for the 3rd overall pick. If Denver's only plan A is hoping they can swing a trade with the Patriots, and their plan B is taking a shot in the dark after they pick at 12, then maybe it makes sense to go into the season with a little more experience or depth in the QB room. Wilson is Sam Darnold, but not as good. He's Mac Jones, but not as good. He's Justin Fields, but not as good. He might be as good as Trey Lance, I don't know. But all his peers have been reduced to backup roles, right? And there would be no reason Wilson makes you feel comfortable not drafting a rookie this year. Now, he may be a side effect of you not loving any of the draftable QBs this season, but he's not a substitute. If you think that, I cannot help. He's not a let's develop him behind Jarrett Stidham quarterback and trust he will show us just how far he can spread his wings late this season or in 2025, because we all know the only thing Zach Wilson is spreading is... Well, never mind. I think I'll keep this episode classy.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to get fucked by you again.
For the last minute. Oh, and somewhere between the lackluster uniform reveals and the Zach Wilson trade, the Broncos signed poor corner Levi Wallace to the roster. Would Wallace have agreed to come to Denver if he knew this would be their first move after signing him? I'm not so sure. So good job on the timing there by Sean and George Payton. I still trust you guys.
And in the naked light I saw 10,000 losses, maybe more, in the sounds of silence. Thanks for watching my stupid show. Please subscribe here on YouTube. Come back tomorrow. We'll have another video up. It'll be better than the Zach Wilson trade.